What's up, guys? Quick sound check. Good morning. Oh, well, I guess I can hear myself. I didn't know that was on. Asked and answered, apparently. How's everybody doing this morning on a fine Monday? See what we can do here today. What's up? All right. So I dropped a little brain dump in the or a morning write up in the chat there. And so I'm kind of conflicted here a bit at the open initially here today. So we got that Sunday night gap down, and we've managed to rally that back and kind of pop up there 72.08s, 20 couple points here higher on the S&Ps. Nasdaq here managed to trade up into like 542, so like 150 points higher, give or take. And what I'm kind of thinking is that we might see one or two things here. Is initially we might see a bit of a rally to try and go get those overnight highs. I just don't really know that there's a ton of momentum above that. It's tough to want to try and fight this daily chart on the NASDAQ, right? It's a pretty clean breakout. A gap over red on Friday. And kind of that whole picture, right? So I don't think we can necessarily do that until we lose like 201s. But if we could pop up and take those, 540s out, rally that 150 points, and then kind of set up a divergence up there and fail, then I think there's a possibility we could potentially short that and see if we can get that to, come all the way back down into like 27,200s and maybe even more, right? So initially this week, I'm thinking we could see the rally here and then fail that ultimately and find some weakness from that to look for potential shorts down into those areas. It's a little bit more aggressive, right? Just the market's obviously in a super strong bullish uptrend. Like we'd be fighting that whole kind of thing. So it's not my favorite thing, but we've got S&Ps here essentially unchanged, right? We're down 8. That's 0.11%. NASDAQ here essentially unchanged, down 0.13. Russell here down 0.08, and then the Dow is down 0.16. But I think the key thing is when you look at something like the NASDAQ and you just look at last week's Friday's action, and then you compare that to something like the Dow, where we were unable to even get back up over the open like at any point throughout the day on Friday. I think that kind of stands out as a little bit of obviously weakness and things like that with the Dow. So there's a different picture between S&P's, NASDAQ, and Russell Dow at the moment, and that's kind of keeping me a little bit uninterested, if you will, or a little bit cautious in terms of fresh new longs and things like that here. So I'm willing to take some. They just have to be like super, super pretty, and I might just wait for a little added confirmation, a little extra high or low, something like that, another divergence, whatever the case is, right? So we really don't have any levels to work with right in through here. Russell, not bad if it gets up over those 2804s, and maybe if that starts kind of showing that it wants to do something here, then I'm potentially okay with that. On the downside though, if we lose 2786s, there's some room to kind of pull back. So we got a little bit of a different daily chart depending on what you look at, whether it's NASDAQ, Russell, Dow, et cetera there. So kind of a potentially a little bit of a leader change, trend flip type area. So we'll see what that ultimately wants to do, but I'm going to take it a little easy here first thing this morning. I still have CAR on my list, though. I would like to see, it's trading right at this 189 level. I would like to see that kind of hold and bounce just a little bit. Ultimately, I think that's probably what should happen, most likely will happen in there. And then I'll go ahead and drop the earnings in the chat there as well. So we got some big names coming out later this week. Obviously, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Google, Qualcomm, Apple, all of those things. So I wouldn't be too terribly surprised to see a little bit of sideways action. Obviously, that could still be in like a 400 or 500 point range, specifically for NASDAQ. But I wouldn't be too surprised to see that either. So just kind of keeping those options across the board open here. And we'll ultimately see what this wants to do. But we got about 10 seconds here till the bell. No immediate plays here. I want to get a little bit more data. A little bit more data. Damn, that's loud. Turn that down. That's probably just car busting through, trading all those things. NVIDIA's been up over that 210 level a couple different times here this morning. Opening back beneath it though. Apple weak on a gap down. Dow actually kind of coming through with a little bit of a rally initially here now. It's a little interesting. Market throwing a little curveball there. Dow is coming out strong. 118, 126 points here inside this first minute. Meanwhile, NASDAQ getting a little bit of a smack into the downside. 340 area, those overnight lows down there. We got the Russell pushing up here to 2804.70s. Traded it to the tick there. There is technically room in here to 2827s if this thing doesn't want to go. I'm gonna let it try and push up through here and then see what it wants to do. If it can get pullbacks, kind of do something from there. Maybe we'll see NASDAQ come down and grab these overnight lows. That'd be an interesting little shift though, right? We end up playing the Russell to the long side. Up over this area. 20 plus point target area. Dow came out super strong. Tesla weak, no surprise there. 370s. NVIDIA pushing back up towards that 210.96 area. And CAR getting a little bit of a bounce here from 189.15s. That's kind of to be expected, I think. I think it might actually bounce to 247s. What a rally out of the Dow. $208 points pretty much straight up here in the Dow at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and just mark overnight lows here in the NASDAQ 344 quarters. I'd like to see that happen when Russell pulls back, but so far no Russell pullback. It's probably got to close this bar up here though. I also don't want to see too much weakness coming off these highs for Russell and Dow. This gold cracking new lows on the day. Yeah, I see it pushing up over those 210s. I don't think market's quite ready yet, so I'm kind of trying to feel that out for a second. NASDAQ's coming down to these 344s. Russell did kind of pop up through the highs from Friday there. NASDAQ front ran that overnight low there a little bit, but it is the only market to get new lows on this 5-minute bar here. Russell's still trying to get a little bit of a pullback. I don't think we long NASDAQ yet. It's potential if it gets another little kind of divergence down here into overnight lows. Russell's pulling back here to 2804s now. Still unable to trade these 2804s on the pullback just yet for the Russell. Meanwhile, NASDAQ testing opening print and getting rejected. I still think this comes back down here one more time to grab those overnight lows. Photoshop. This was some stretch books. Here we go. $28.05 traded there for the Russell. There's no way we front run it like that, right? You could try it. Part of me still thinks Russell comes down and grabs, or NASDAQ comes down and grabs those overnight lows. I'm wondering if Russell pushes through a little bit more if and when that happens. Either that or I just missed the most beautiful entry little shimmy that there will be today. Russell sitting right on top this level here. I think we got to wait for NASDAQ to come down and grab this 344s. I don't know where that pushes Russell to. It might just hold right here, which would be ideal within like 1 or 2 points of the area. I also don't want this to be like the Russell little fake out and then we go lower from here. It's just a failure, a little pop up. It kind of looks maybe plausible here at the moment. NVIDIA kind of just did that same thing. Popped up over those 210s, coming back now. That's what I don't want to see happen across the board here because that'll make today a little bit tougher, I think. NASDAQ trying to hold here. Meanwhile, Russell Dow getting the push lower. If NASDAQ isn't going to make the move lower, I don't love it. I don't love it, and I don't trust it either. I think this is where NASDAQ either makes that push down into overnight lows here, or we're failing this little 2-minute kind of push above. And then we drop down into there. But looks like Russell is failing so far, obviously. S&Ps might do the same. Meta held pretty well. What's up, Joe? Joe's probably short this move already. NASDAQ made new lows there, almost got overnight lows there, traded 350s. Not yet, though. Now it has. S&P's new lows, NASDAQ new lows. Russell new lows. Dow's the only one holding lows. I'm not super interested, I don't think, in the long here. It's going to have to do something important. It might be just that easy, though. Dow's coming down, opening print here. Trying to act like it wants to do something, but I'm not entirely sure what. We are, NASDAQ is trying to push back up through that little 353 area, which was that prior low. If it could turn around in the next minute and turn this bar green, I think that would be rather impressive. Dow new lows. Russell new lows too as well. Ugly little topping tail coming right back down there now. It's kind of an ugly 2-minute chart there so far in NASDAQ. Pop up where we trade 275s. The Dow, however, is now trying to put in a little bit of a bounce here. I don't know that I fully trust the Dow. The problem here is there's like nothing. We have the overnight low, obviously 344s that we're like pushing through like it doesn't really matter because it's just an overnight low. I mean, we have room all the way down to 201s, so it's like I really don't want to just long this for no real reason. Yes, there's a divergence in place here. Yes, the Dow just ripped back like 100 points for some unknown reason to me. What in the? Look at this chart. Like what is that? Excuse me. What do we do with that? Total range of 235 points, just straight back to the upside now. Good old pump and dump. Russell here, back up over the open now. What a weird little move there. AMD had a hard move to the downside. Google trying to rally to highs. Nasdaq's back up these 344s. S&Ps are back over the open as well. Yeah, Apple holding up a little bit there as well. That's a whip and a half right there on the NASDAQ. Traded down at a 27,298. It's back up now 70 couple points. Russell here trying to push back up over 2804s. I'd like to find an entry. I don't really know what it looks like though at the moment. It's a pretty, I would venture to say that that should be the low a day in NASDAQ. Like, that's a pretty bold move so far. That's a bold move, Cotton. I want to see something in car though, real quick. Google pushing the highs there. Yeah, these options are too expensive in car already. I mean, it makes sense because of the volatility it's having, but maybe we do something with NASDAQ up over opening print. 410 still gives us 130 couple points up to targets, maybe more, right? S&P is about to make new high push there. I'd like to see a little pullback before we do that. Ideally, maybe we can trade back down into like, I don't know, give me like 368s. Give me like 368s here on NASDAQ, please, por favor. I don't know how to say please in other languages outside of that, but if I did, that's what I would say. Yeah, I don't think the Russell's a bad play for it. We've got the targets up there. IWM, that would be 279.62s. Still about 20 points to go here in the actual future side of things. I just need NASDAQ to not run away right here. That's the one thing I don't want to see. I mean, I do want it to run away, but I want it to run away after it gives us a little higher low type of entry here. The Dow, I think, is drunk. Almost 10 o'clock here. There's a bold 15-minute candle here getting formed now. Pretty much across the board there. I don't want to see anything make new highs yet. I'd like to see NASDAQ get that pullback first. Just traded opening print there. $368s, 365s, somewhere down there. 288s I don't think is enough. It could be, but I don't think it is. I'm on top ride like you in a rodeo. Till you hit this spot. 88s might have been enough. We'll see here. NASDAQ wanting to push up over those opening print. Opening print is 410. I'm still thinking we can get 368, 365s here. I'm trying to just hold out there for a minute. 379's traded. If this becomes a true like range bound type of day, then again it would make sense. We could go grab those overnight highs up there, which are at 542s. So it gives us a really nice, you know, like 370s up to 540s is like 170 points, give or take. Car is actually getting more weakness than I thought. Options are just too expensive. What'd you pay for those 279s? You got them for today? I got 279 today, like a quarter. All right, NASDAQ's got one more attempt to push down. We just set lows, 378s there. Russell just traded those 2804s again. NASDAQ should hold here for another few seconds. Don't do that just yet. All right, now let's see if we can get 368, 365s, somewhere down in there for NASDAQ. And then look to start our ascent. Also not a bad long entry spot here for the Russell. You'd use stops under 2800 at fours. You could wait for a trigger over 05s if you really wanted to. I don't think that's bad. Come on, NASDAQ. Don't you do that. Really? 372s? I don't think that's it. You could have some NASDAQ on here if you wanted. It's still 140 points to target. Stops you at 30 points. So it's a good 4-to-1 risk reward ratio. I still just want that little 368, 365 test. Am I being a dick for a tick over like 4 points? Maybe. But I said this morning I'm open to longs, but I'm going to be a bit more cautious and either wait for a higher low, a little added confirmation, divergence, etc., something here. So I'd hate to put this on, it comes down and wicks me out, and then makes the move. NASDAQ there, 370s. Getting closer. Still 370 on those lows. There's 365s. Still no reason to enter just yet. I'll let it have this pullback here. This should be the area though. This should be the area in here. We can look to see, let's go 375s by those lows is basically 25 points. Let's do that. NASDAQ up over 375s here. It's about a 25-point stop. There we go. There we go. Nice little start. That should ultimately be the low on this pullback here. So ideally from here we can push up into 410 opening print. And then if we're going to make that move happen on the day, then up to 542s would be the ultimate move there. 542.50s. It's not bad. It gives us pretty decent risk to reward ratio. It's about 170 points, give or take. I don't love the Dow action though. I don't know, it seems like NASDAQ does the opposite of Dow at the moment, so if I get sending the Dow to zero, send NASDAQ up to 540s, I don't know. I'll feel better if this thing can get kind of back up over 400s, 410s, that opening print area here. I don't love that. Nothing we can do at the moment. If we hold right in here, like 365s, well, 36450s is that low, and then kind of push back up over 400s here, we might be able to reduce a little bit of risk. Essentially cut it in half. But at the moment, we can't really do that. I like to see this turn and push pretty hard right through here. If it's going to do the thing, then it should turn and push essentially starting like now. We really shouldn't need any more pullback, any more anything out of this thing. Just turn and rip to the upside. If we don't quite make it and we start getting some weakness again down here, then we're likely going to eat a stop. And now for some reason the Dow wants to put in a green bar, so we might be in trouble. Although Russell is trying to make a push there. An hour pass paid. Turn and push. Turn and push. Blood blowing, now showing. I don't get a rally, motherfucker. 369 test there. Don't love that. I'd like to see it push up through that. Nice. The name should be Richard. Division like a line between two dots. Close on that 5-minute bar could have been a little bit stronger. I think we'll still be all right though if we can push back up over 27,400s here, get back over that opening print. It honestly looks like it wants to shake us. And then make the move. Unless we completely roll over, which obviously a shake at that point wouldn't really matter because it'll just be a full-on stop and continuation for a move lower, but we act like we're trying to just shake here for a second. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. S&P's popped that prior bar's low on this last little push down. Did so on the previous one too. That's what's leading me to think it's just a little shake here. Dow is right back down at opening print here. Part of me is tempted to take it off here at even and save the stop at the moment and then re-enter if we get back up over opening print, or if we get an actual shimmy or a shake down here, see if we can't re-enter. But at the same time, we lose a really good risk reward ratio if we have to wait to back up over 410s basically. But I'd like to see ticks pivot and turn because we might get shaken out on this thing here. We give up like 3 R's worth of risk to save 1, which sometimes is okay, but I think in this case, we're fine. Russell getting a little bit of move. Didn't quite get opening print, right? Yeah, a little shy of it. Dow did, however. The longer we spend right here and NASDAQ doesn't get that push back up over kind of like 375s, give or take, the less I am thinking that we're going to see this move initially here. Hence the reason for thinking about taking it off even when it was up there at around 70s. But I don't really want to give up that risk, the R to R that we have at the moment. This isn't the easiest trade in the world, though, for sure. It looked good. It looked real good initially. We had a quick little 20-plus point pop out of it. And then started to fade on us some. but I think we'll be all right. This might be a little shimmy at some point here. And get $1 back. Call that wine and dine. 413.50 would be those highs. High of the day is 435s. I know it is. I think we want to. We're certainly trying to figure it out. That might be the nail in the coffin right there. I'm kind of thinking the same thing. I'm kind of thinking the same thing. It looks like it wants to take that 48 out for just a quick second. I like the Russell move though. I like the Dow move. NASDAQ wants to participate and play ball in that. That'd be awesome. What's RRT? We get NASDAQ up over opening print. Like we should be home free and go get those 540s. At the moment, that's not the case though. The belly of the beast. RTY here, about to trade opening print there. Come on, NASDAQ. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. And there's that pop. A little push down. I gave it a little bit of room. And we out. The Dow, however, wants to try and hold that. Yeah, no, I mean, I talked about that this morning. Like, it would totally make sense here that we consolidate, we go sideways, potentially even get a pullback, etc. Right? So I'm not. Why is this not working? Hello? There we go. So yeah, I'm certainly not thinking that that wasn't going to be the case, right? There was definitely the opportunity for that. The risk reward looked so good though. We'd already taken out overnight lows. We had a divergence. We popped up. We pulled back towards that overnight low area. Like, I'll take that same trade essentially anytime it wants to present itself. At the moment, we just have a really weird like Dow strength here with Russell like maybe wanting to try and have some strength but just not able to do it. I don't really know where Dow actually goes. Like, does it rally from here to like 644s? I doubt it, honestly. RTY does look the best. Although if S&Ps hold the open here, the crazy thing is there's not a ton of room for the S&Ps. There's like 20 points. 72.0850s up there is the overnight high. It's not like it's crazy far for it to move. NASDAQ obviously has, 200 points from right here basically. And this was the thing I talked about. I was like, hey, maybe we should take it off at break even, look to re-enter if we get the shimmy down here, which at the moment, maybe this is what that is. I'm going to wait for up over opening prints at this point, just considering the fact that we already took a stop on it, and I'm not interested in just like, one, it's a Monday, I'm not coming in and doing like 2-3 stops. But the Russell actually doesn't look all that bad. It'd be better up over 2804s. The fact that we couldn't hold that obviously is not the greatest thing in the world, but It's not terrible either at the same time. So S&P is holding that open. The Dow now getting weakness. 1035. We might be better off like going and playing pocket pool somewhere. Hello. What is that? Did that get new highs? 98.50s. It did. 99s. S&P's got new highs there. That was super unfortunate. Kind of obnoxious, honestly. That might be what type of day it is here, ultimately. Yeah, no, it just ripped. I kind of hate that, honestly. Kind of hate that. Yeah, no, I know. We just 2804s got tested there. Nasdaq got close to opening print, couldn't quite do it. S&Ps did get new highs on the day, which I don't love. 98.50s. We traded 99s there. There's no signals in place, but it's like, essentially here we're pulling all the way back now in Nasdaq. If we can hold here, we're back at that 68, 65 area. We just traded 65 quarters there. If we can hold this and maybe start to get a move, an up over opening print would be something worth potentially doing here. But again, I don't love the spike and fade type of thing. S&Ps pull back to 92s. Maybe better off looking at a relative strength name, but at the moment, the only thing I see that's actually ripping out to highs here is Google, which there's earnings in like 2 days, 3 days. So end of week options here are outrageous compared to what they should be. 0 DTEs, and not my favorite. If we had the market and it didn't have earnings later this week, I would probably feel a little bit more comfortable about that one, but yeah, I don't really know what there is we can do here. A long car if you want, maybe. It's not terrible. Probably moves on its own. Continental. Continental. Oh, that motherfucker. I mean, the options are stupid expensive. Probably better to play it with shares. $197 gives you 50 points to 247s. I don't know. It could be reaching for something in there. To get long something here and Russell maybe, but it's better still up over 2804s. The Dow is now maybe trying to hold still. 352s, a little pop there. Again, I still would not be too surprised if we managed to go get 542s, right? Like overnight lows to overnight highs and go tag that. The problem is just an entry and the whole thing, right? So yeah, the 279s probably aren't bad. I mean, at the end of the day, right now we're down, at least for me, I'm down about $70 in my micro accounts per account, down about $70. A little bit more than that, obviously, a little bit more than 10 times that on full size contracts on other accounts, it's like I'm okay with that on a Monday, but it's like I'm not okay with continuing to just like I don't want to turn that $70 loss into a $150 loss and turn a $900 loss into, you know, a $2,000 loss, right? When there's just not, like, it's just not quality, at least here, I don't think. I think we had the potential to get the nice move on the day, but it's starting to fade potentially. But obviously, we can't force that. So if it doesn't want to make the move, then there ain't nothing we can do about it. Even gold and silver are a little bit funky this morning. Crude oil is not bad. Anybody have any questions? Tickers you want me to take a look at? Something? Dow coming back down there. Pins. Let's take a look here. PINS. Daily doesn't look too bad. Weekly maybe trying to break here. Looks like we got earnings coming up. 5-4. I would say that weekly's probably bottomed. I mean, if it hasn't, it's going to like sub $10. So yeah, I don't think it looks bad though. Yeah, I was gonna say 26s. 26s on it wouldn't look too bad. Speaking of social names, Meta is probably one of the strongest things I see on the board. That weekly little 1, 2, 3 in there is really nice looking. Option or earnings are later this week, 4/29 Tuesday, so Wednesday. Dow is right back down to opening print there. Russell's on opening print here too. It's just not able to get up over those 04s. I'm going to give Russell a little try here. Let's see if it wants to hold that right there. That little push down. It's like a 2-point risk. It's nothing crazy. It'll be pretty quick. Could be completely wrong on it, so it'll be a quick stop if it is. And then from there, I'm going to call it a day. It would be better if there was a divergence of some sort of anything here, but we don't really have that, so Russell's trying to hold this opening print here. And Dow is trying as well. It's high up here, 28.0540s, so 28.0550 is where we need to go. I'll just set an alert for it. Meta making a nice push there. That weekly 1, 2, 3 looks so pretty. But again, Earnings in 2 days. Not my favorite thing to do. I'm going to be totally okay with today, however it ends up, right? We weren't expecting phenomenal price action today. The ticks have gone from minus 500 to a positive 600. That's been the range on the day so far. The 500, give or take points, one side or the other of the 0 line, which is essentially nothing. Even considering that spike in which we had, we weren't able to really get anything moving there. Like, that's actually kind of crazy. Traded 345s there on lows for NASDAQ. Like I said, I got this Russell. Let's see if we can't get that to make a nice push. There's about 30 points worth of risk to reward there. So 30 points to target right off these opening prints, 97.60s. Target up above is 27.10s. So yeah, there's virtually 30 points worth of room. I don't know how I can't like not take that, you know what I mean? Do you guys get these freaking spam messages like Virginia Department of Motor Vehicles, you have a delinquent case, blah blah blah. You're gonna cancel, you're gonna send my case for civil verdict processing. Pay this fine. It comes from a YTFBN60646943 at hotmail.com. Like, what is this? Oh, I responded to one of the political texts the other day, and they had someone like monitoring the replies and was like trying to have a conversation with me. It was for like a freaking someone in Ohio. I'm like, I don't live in Ohio. I don't really even want to go to Ohio, to be honest with you. Like, why are you sending me a text about some District 12 blah 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 person? Like, I don't get it. Looks like the Dow might actually make new lows here. 285 is that low. We just traded 293s there. We might actually get something moving there if that happens. I didn't realize this, but you know, there's an app you can go on. It's technically like open to the public. You can download it. I don't know the name of it, but like that's what politicians use when they're running for office and shit. And it'll give you, like, you can just do like a geolocation to a specific area if you're running like locally or whatever, and it'll give you all of the people in that district. Like you can use it like Google Maps and like click on a house, and it'll be like, hey, this person's registered here, this person's registered here. They voted, you know, in this primary, blah blah blah, whatever. Give you their phone numbers, give you like legitimately everything. So yeah, it was. I was like, that's kind of crazy actually, but it's available to anybody. Dow got a hard move there. I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure it's coming. All right, Russell here. That was gold. Oh, I'm sure it actually is. It's just not available to everybody at the moment, or they're limiting it to what it can and can't do, which is probably the more realistic piece. Nasdaq's holding fairly well here, considering this down move in the Dow. Russell, I'm about to go ahead and yeah, close that. I think that might be it on the day for me. Give me 1 second, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Nasdaq still trying to hold here. The only thing that made new lows was the Dow. The tick still never even really moved. We're at minus 142s at the moment. Like we didn't. I mean, we traded like negative 358 there. So essentially nothing still. I kind of like the idea of Russell still, but I don't think it's worth the risk at the moment. Yeah, it's kind of acting like we're gonna like hold and not really go drastically lower, but whether or not we can whether we can actually make a move to the upside or not is a completely different story. I don't really know that we can. A new overnight. What? What you talking about? Yeah, if we can get up over opening print, then that makes things interesting. No, it's super choppy. I wonder where the Dow actually goes. I didn't really look to see where we had room to the downside. I wasn't fully expecting us to get wrecked like this. That's kind of a lot of room. 511s maybe? 525s? Yikes. That's kind of a lot. That's 700 points from here still. I don't know that I think that's going to happen, but kind of waiting for another one of those like NASDAQ S&P pops that just goes right back up to opening print. I'm like trying not to be surprised if it happens and we just turn and rip like 50, 60 points. I don't really know that we've been super affected by, I don't feel like the news spikes over the weekend. Not that I really saw like many major headlines of anything, any kind of sort, but we didn't really see the normal. And we got a decent gap down, but nothing crazy. I mean, 30 points, like that's not, I don't think that's going to do it. And Dow somehow now putting in a green bar. I don't think we can short this either. Yeah, I don't think we can. Let's see that little pop right there. Yeah. I mean, I legit don't think there's anything. Like the only thing that I see is potentially the Russell again. Back over opening print here. Like 97s and change. which isn't terrible. But how many times do we try that before it works? Is the question. Yeah, no, we gotta get back up over 410s to do anything. But if we get over 410s, it's like, why don't we just go to 540s? Which is like 200 points from here. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna do it, at this point, I'm just kind of like cheering NASDAQ on for moral support. Text me the Addy, I'll roll through for you. You're like, what was that? A little spike to 360s there. S&P's got to get over opening print too, which we haven't been able to do. I don't know. I can't long this. I also don't want to short this either. So it's like the Russell was about to try again and see if it could push up over that opening print and do something, but I just don't see it here. We trade like we're about to get absolutely just smoked, but we can't really get anything going either at the same time. Which makes me think we get one of those fat green candles like Shadow wants to see. Let me see it. Let me see it. Part of me wants to put a micro NASDAQ on just for the pure sake of doing so. No other real reason. But yeah, I don't think we see that today. Nope. What do we call that one? Plenty of room lower. NASDAQ still didn't break down there. S&Ps did. Excuse me. Russell might have 9150s. Nope, 9160s. Russell didn't either. Trying to pull a little sugar in the Dixie cup. Oh my God, this is not so. What's option 2 there, Shadow? We go back to 27201s. Leave these 540s up here untested. Or do we get the fat green dilly candle now? If NASDAQ gets back up over that 344 area, it might want to do it. I don't know. I think we're honestly wasting our brain power here on the day. 1127. It's kind of what I think. If Russell gets back over the open, it's potentially on the table. If it gets over 2804s, certainly on the table. If NASDAQ gets over the open 410s, it's certainly of interest. Kind of sucks you'd have to wait 70 points to see that happen, but it is what it is. Same thing here in the S&Ps. Need to see that get back over opening print, which isn't super far away for the S&Ps. And then ideally the Dow just stops doing whatever it's doing at the moment and can kind of participate in a rally if that's what gets put together here. But I don't know. It wouldn't make sense that we just crater on the day. Makes more sense that we range bound and try to go get those highs, but we gave it our shot. It's like, how many more times do we want to attempt this, right? It was 3, 4, 5. Like, at some point we just got to let it be. And even the strong individual names that I would be somewhat interested in, granted they all have something slightly wrong with them or earnings or whatever, like Meta, for example, that's gotten some crazy little wicks and stuff going in it now, and whatever that's doing. Kind of looks like the daily's setting up a little bit of a 1, 2, 3 here on NASDAQ. At the same time, weekly's kind of setting up a 1, 2, 3. Obviously, we only got 1 day's worth of data on that weekly at the moment, but still. A little close action there. High day here is 429.75 is what I'm showing. But that doesn't make any sense. This shows 435s. The daily and the 2-minute chart are showing different data there. At the point where everybody gave up, NASDAQ now finally starting to make a move. Not too terribly surprised. S&P has traded opening print there. A little bit of rejection so far. Ticks are essentially nowhere. Just range bound, sloppy trading. I might get it. It's certainly been a rather obnoxious one. S&P acting like they want to try and push up through opening print here. Russell's still not doing it though. That was the one I would have longed up over opening print. But we're pushing these 8650s here on S&Ps. NASDAQ making a decent move now. S&P's getting that little push there. Up over opening print. Oh, that's cool. They're doing a launch tonight, 8:52 p.m. Eastern from Cape Canaveral. We should be able to see it maybe. Russell tried to pop up there and get the opening print there. Dow's actually getting a little bit of movement here off these lows, a little bit more so than the Russell on that at the moment. Take a left and move, half at night. No, I know. It's pretty bad. It was kind of to be expected, though. I think. I mean, volume was pretty light at like 178,000 contracts this morning, considering a 40-point overnight range. Nice, caught some shorts this morning. Yeah, I couldn't really get behind any shorts. Unfortunately, I was waiting to see if we get that push up to 540, those overnight highs, but doesn't look like it. Well, it hasn't happened yet. I shouldn't say it doesn't look like it. It looks like we want to move, but ticks are so quiet. S&P sitting right on opening print there. I was kind of looking to see if we get Russell back over that opening print. It was the laggard here. If you're looking for longs, I don't think NASDAQ is terrible in here. There's no real like solid entry. You could look to take S&Ps here off opening print potentially. That opening print is going to be 86.50s here. Oh, that's a tough fight. I'm about to call it a morning and go hit the gym. Dang it. I just watched a video on a freaking $650 claw hammer. Totally unnecessary. But I kind of want one because they look freaking dope. I also just don't really need a framing hammer for 650 bucks, but pour me some Jaeger, grab my guitar and play. All right, 12 o'clock. I think I'm going to call it. There's not going to be anything for me to do here. This might be the entry in the S&P there, off opening print. 8650 is holding. NASDAQ pullback here. That probably should be holding a little bit better if it was going to do the thing. Dow getting a decent rally off lows. Russell here still trying to contend with opening print and get through it. Higher time frames in there starting to shape up a little bit better. But anyways, I'm going to wrap it up and go do some things I got to get done. Marcus putting me to sleep here. So, anyways, appreciate you guys coming on, hanging out. We'll be back tomorrow and see what this market wants to do. So, I wouldn't get too worked up about today. If you took a loss, which I did, then I wouldn't really be too concerned by it. There's still a whole lot of week left and pretty decent ranges so far. Just rather slow at the moment. So, but yeah, anyways, that's what I got. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.